Another Monday night as we continue my list of my top 30 favorite films of all time. We've already looked at a couple of movies. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was number 30. Eyes Wide Shut was 29. And now we're moving on to my 28th favorite film of all time. And when it comes to picking my favorite movie from Pixar, you'd probably expect me to say something like The Incredibles or any of the Toy Story movies or Up. And while I love those movies just as much, they're still some of my favorites. My number 28 favorite movie of all time is Disney and Pixar's WALL-E. There's just so much to love about this movie. It's a movie that takes bold moves for Pixar, giving us not just a kids movie, but a smart kids movie with good messages behind it. And it's just a fun movie as well. You have a story where you have this robot named WALL-E who's designed to clean up a waste-covered Earth far into the future. He falls in love with this other robot that comes out from nowhere named Eve, who's also had a programming task, and follows her into outer space on this adventure that changes the destiny of both his kind and humanity. Both robots exhibit an appearance of free will and emotional similar to humans, which develops further as the film progresses. And I think one of the strongest highlights of the film is the fact that there's very little dialogue in the film. The first 20 minutes of this movie is no dialogue whatsoever, but at the same time, you're never getting bored by it because you're just so invested in what both WALL-E and Eve are doing, and you follow them along here. Even when we get to the human characters near the second act, there's more dialogue, but not as much as you would think. It's not a dialogue-heavy movie, but the stuff that goes on in there keeps you invested. It's about as much as my number one favorite film from Pixar, but it's about as much as my number one favorite film has. But if you know what that is already, if you don't know what that is already, I'm not gonna say what that is, but just stay tuned for that, or you can just go look online. I already did a video about it. But anyway, back to WALL-E. It's amazing that Disney even let them make this movie, honestly, because of all the social issues that they tackle. A lot of them were things that Disney had done in the past, and Pixar is pretty much saying that all these things are leading to what could be the downfall of the world, which you could honestly say maybe it's kind of where we're heading nowadays. I mean, is it any wonder why there was a point where Disney stopped partnering up with McDonald's and went on this whole healthy food initiative for a little bit? The movie also worked very well because you really do love these characters. You really do fall in love with these characters as much as you see WALL-E and Eve falling in love with each other. The relationship between these two plays out so well that you can really stick with these characters. And even with the little dialogue that they both share, you still find a whole lot of investment between these two. I also like the storyline about whether or not the world is stable enough to support life again. I like the way they handled that. There's a major plot point involving a planet that develops towards the end of the first act that becomes the main focus of the rest of the film. The captain of the ship, played by Jeff Garlin, believes that this is a sign that Earth can be livable again, while the navigation, kind of similar to Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey, has been forced to live with these strict orders to never return to Earth again, no matter what happens, and does whatever it takes to get rid of this plant. And it leads into good questions about what's right in this situation. Is the navigation right to listen to orders, or is it finally time to head back home after 800 years? And of course, we get the answer to that at the end of the film. But before then, we wonder who's right in this situation. Both of them make logistical points. I mean, both sides make logistical points that you have to really. It really does make you think. I like movies that really make you think. And in the end, of course, the captain believes that the Earth is livable again, and sure enough, that's what happens at the end of the film. The animation overall is great here. This is Pixar at their absolute best. The space scenes in this movie are so beautifully done. When you see WALL-E moving his arm around the stars, and then you have the scene later on where they're dancing in the middle of space. It's just like, it's such a beautiful moment, man. There's a lot of scenes like this that are so well done. For a movie like this to have very little dialogue, WALL-E manages to be a great film, like putting in these great memorable characters, a great love story, a good message, some great action, beautiful animation overall. It's just an overall fun film. It's a great animated movie, and Pixar's best film that they've done. In my opinion, it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's definitely my favorite Pixar movie of all time. So WALL-E is my 28th favorite film of all time. You want to see the other videos that I've done looking at my 30th and 29th film, I'll put them in the links right here. And I'll see you guys next week for another video. So until then, take care.